Cell structure. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the function of cells, what are cells, main cell components, animal and plant cell organelles, plant-specific organelles, and photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Function of cells. Cells work together to perform the basic processes of life, including getting rid of bodily waste, making new cells for growth and repair, and releasing energy from food. Without cells, without any of these three processes working properly, we wouldn't be able to survive. What are cells? A cell is a basic unit of structure and function of life. Cells make up living things and carry out activities that keep a living thing alive. Your body is made up of specialized cells which carry out the processes needed for life. So different cells perform different functions and they look differently. For instance, this is a nerve cell. It conducts electricity around your body, and these are blood cells, and they're going to carry things like oxygen around your body. So completely different function, completely different structure, but both are required for you to survive. Main cell components. The three main components of our cell are going to be the genetic material. That's the stuff that's going to contain our blueprint for our life. Our cytoplasm, which is the liquid that fills the interior. It also holds all our organelles together, which are going to be very important as well. So I'm going to write that in here, organelles. And then you have your plasma or your cell membrane, which is going to be like the skin of the cell that's going to hold everything together. So here we are here. The genetic material is located right in the middle in the nucleus. The plasma membrane is the skin that makes up the exterior of the cell. And the cytoplasm is all the stuff in here. And that's going to include our organelles, like our mitochondria there. And we're going to have things like vacuoles and so on all throughout. And we're going to talk about those individually. Animal cells. Animal cells are eukaryotic cells, meaning their nucleus is inside a membrane, so it's encapsulated in a membrane. Animal cells are found inside animals and not plants, hence the name. Now the main animal cell organelles are going to include our cell membrane, our nucleus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, and vacuoles. Now cytoplasm is not an organelle, but as I said previously, it's the thing that holds all the organelles together. And over the next few slides, we're going to cover each one specifically. So first up, cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is the gel-like substance that holds the cell organelles together. It's mostly made out of water, and it's where the chemical reactions occur. The cell membrane, as I said, is like the skin of the cell. It's the thing that holds everything together and keeps the cell organelles from going outside of the cell itself. It also controls what comes into and out of the cell. So certain things we need to come in, and certain things we don't want to come in. So the cell membrane stops those things from coming in, but allows the things that we want to come in to come in. There are certain things that we want to leave the cell, and there are certain things that we don't want to leave the cell. So again, the cell membrane works to keep the things inside that we want in and remove the things that we don't want. Nucleus. The nucleus is like the cell of the brain. It's going to contain our DNA, so our chromosomes, and these chromosomes are going to tell our cell what to do. They're going to be the blueprints that tell the cell how to be and how to function. And there's usually one per cell, and it's usually spherical in shape. And you can see right here in the diagram, there and there. Chromosomes. So as I mentioned previously, chromosomes are located in the DNA of cells inside the nucleus. They're going to contain all the information needed for life. They're going to be the blueprints that tell the cell how to be and what to do. We have 23 pairs, so that gives us 46 in total, and half are going to come from mom, so 23 from mom, and half 23 from dad. And you can see right over here in the bottom right-hand corner, that's called a karyotype. So this is a breakdown of what the chromosomes look like. So this would be chromosome 1, that would be chromosome 2, that would be chromosome 3. And within chromosome 1, you're going to get your chromosome from mom, and you're going to get your chromosome from dad. Likewise, for number 2, you'll get your dad chromosome, and you'll get your mom chromosome. So mom's going to give a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, all the way up to 23. And dad is going to give a number 1, a number 2, a number 3 chromosome, all the way up to 23. Mitochondria. The mitochondria is otherwise known as the powerhouse of the cell because it makes the energy out of the food that we eat. So we bring food in, and the mitochondria turns that food into energy. Cells that use more energy, like muscle, have more mitochondria. And mitochondria has a very distinct shape. You can see it a little bit here, and you can see a little bit better there. But there's actually two membranes, an inner membrane, that's what this first green arrow was pointed to, and an outer membrane, which the red arrow was pointing to. So it's going to have a unique shape, this double membrane, and that's going to facilitate its ability to produce the energy from the food you eat. Now, as I said, it's the powerhouse of the cell, and it's the powerhouse of the cell because it's going to use glucose to provide the cells with energy through a process called cellular respiration. And the formula for cellular respiration is glucose plus oxygen. So you eat, so this is eat, this is breathe, and this is you breathe out carbon dioxide, you expire water, and it also produces energy. And that's the energy that we use to perform our daily functions, everything from walking around to just keeping our heart beating. And as I said previously, cells that have a lot of energy requirements, like muscle cells, are going to have more mitochondria. Endoplasmic reticulum, otherwise known as the ER. It's a network of transportation tubes that move substances around the cell. It's kind of like the subway of the cell. So you can get down in one spot, and you can get off on another spot. So the substances that are made, say in the nucleus, can enter the ER here, and they can exit at a different spot, maybe over here, so that whatever's made in the nucleus can be used in this part of the cell. It's also where some proteins are made. So one of the things that is transported are these proteins, and proteins are really important. You might know proteins from things like your hair, your nails, but proteins play a vital function in pretty much everything that your body does. Golgi body, otherwise known as the Golgi apparatus, it works alongside the ER to collect and process materials to be used by or removed from the cell. It's kind of like the middleman. So the nucleus might produce something, send it into the ER. From the ER, that substance might go to the Golgi body for processing. So it might take that product in and refine it so the cell can use it properly. Vacuoles. Vacuoles are temporary or like trash cans of the cell. They contain unwanted substances to be removed. There are many found inside animal cells, and only a couple in plant cells, and they're really, really big. Usually there's a large central vacuole in plants, and there's many smaller vacuoles in animals. And they help maintain the internal pressure, and this is specific to plants. So in plants, this very large central vacuole helps keep the plant rigid. Now, plant cell-specific organelles. Although plant animal cells share many organelles, plants need to perform unique functions. Therefore, they must have some unique organelles. And these include chloroplasts, the large central vacuole that we just mentioned, as well as the cell wall. So let's dive into each one. So first, the large central vacuole. So plants usually have one large vacuole in the center of the cell, and that's shown right here with that arrow. You can see it's a very large structure, and it's taking up a good deal of space inside the cell. Now, when it gets filled, kind of like a balloon, it puts pressure on the outside walls, giving the plant cell a very firm structure. It is used to temporarily hold waste and help maintain internal pressure. It's similar to air inside a balloon, like I just mentioned. This keeps the leaves and stems large and firm. Cell wall. The cell wall is found just outside the cell membrane. So plants still have a cell membrane, but they have this external wall as well. It's a very hard structure, and it's made out of cellulose, and provides strength to the cell as well as protection. Now, quick note, humans can't really digest the cell wall, so we kind of just excrete it, whereas animals like cows, that their primary diet is grass and other plants, they have multiple, in this case, stomachs or chambers in order to process the food. So the cellulose can go into one, get partially processed, get sent into another, and another, so that the cows can actually break down the cellulose and use them for energy. Chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are what gives plants their special ability to make food through a process called photosynthesis. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll, which gives plants their green color and also allows them to absorb light from the sun. And you can see in this diagram here are chloroplasts located there. There are all these little green circles, and you can see in our diagram, you can see the chloroplasts are located right there. Now, they do look like a mitochondria. You can see the mitochondria is right beside it, but they're generally a little bit bigger, and in our pictures, they're colored green. Chloroplasts and photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, the chloroplasts take in the carbon dioxide and water from the environment and light from the sun and create oxygen and sugar. And here is the chemical equation for photosynthesis. So you can see they take in carbon dioxide, water, so that's why we water our plants, and this is why we put them into light, because they need light energy. And as a result, they produce glucose, so sugar, and oxygen for us to breathe. And you can see the same thing in this picture here. So carbon dioxide is taken in, water is taken in, and light energy is taken in. And as a result, we're going to produce glucose and oxygen. The sugar that is created is either used by the plant as food to survive or by the organism that eats the plant. In either case, the sugar created is vital for life. If photosynthesis stopped, all living things on Earth would die. Chloroplasts and mitochondria. So what's the connection? So within plant cells, photosynthesis takes place within chloroplasts to produce glucose. We just covered that. The sugar is then used within the mitochondria of both plants and animals in a process called cellular respiration, which we covered earlier. So how do animals obtain the glucose? So what do you think? Well, they obtain the glucose by consuming the plant material. So animals themselves can't undergo photosynthesis. They can't produce their own sugar, but they can eat the plants that can produce the sugar. So for instance, this cow here eats the plants. It takes in that sugar that the plant created in photosynthesis. Now, you might be seeing a connection between cellular respiration and photosynthesis. That's because there is one. So as you can see in this top here, we have our cellular respiration formula, and we have our photosynthesis formula right here. And you can see that the products of cellular respiration, carbon dioxide, water, and energy, are the reactants of photosynthesis. So you can see carbon dioxide, water are used as reactants here and here in photosynthesis, and it produces glucose and oxygen. And then that glucose and oxygen are the reactants, glucose and oxygen, in cellular respiration. So it's a cycle. The products of one are the reactants of the other. So if one were to stop, like we mentioned before, if photosynthesis were to stop, that would stop cellular respiration from occurring, and that would hinder life significantly on Earth. So I want you to think about it. I want you to stop the video, and I want you to answer these two questions. So true or false? All energy starts with plants. 2. Plants make energy through photosynthesis. And we're going to come back to these questions. Okay, so number 1, all energy starts with plants. That is false. The energy comes from the sun. Plants take in the energy from the sun and produce glucose. Plants make energy through photosynthesis. Again, that's false. Plants make sugar from photosynthesis, not energy. Energy comes from the sun. And that concludes our lesson on cell structure.